A special thanks to today's sponsor, Skillshare. I've talked about Skillshare a number of times before, and if you haven't already tried it, you're really missing out. This online learning community is very special, and with thousands of classes, there is so much to learn and explore. From classes on leadership, creative writing, lifestyle, and much more, there is something you definitely enjoy, and it only costs $10 a month with an annual subscription. I've enjoyed many classes, but one of my particular favourites is Unlocking Your Potential, 5 Exercises to Build Creative Confidence by Emma Gannon. This class has really helped me overcome doubts and just start projects I've always wanted to do. Don't miss out on your free trial, as the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a free trial of premium membership, so you can explore your creativity. Sir George Wakeman was a Roman Catholic physician of high integrity and stellar reputation during the reign of King Charles II of England. He served as physician to Charles II's Portuguese Roman Catholic wife, Catherine of Braganza, which may have brought him into the orbit of the infamous Popish plot. Although this brought him many problems, it was his prominent standing and reputation that may have saved his life. George was born on October 20th, 1627, in Hampshire. He was the son of Edward Wakeman, a barrister, and Mary Cotton of Sussex. The large Catholic family included 6 sons and an unknown number of daughters. George was educated at home and in 1642 was sent to Spanish Flanders along with his brother Edward to the English Jesuit school of St. Omer. They studied together for 5 years and then entered the English college at Rome, where they stayed until 1650. Now 22 years old, George still remained undecided about his career, but soon after he left Rome, travelled to Padua and then to Paris, where he settled on studying medicine. It's important to mention that the Wakeman family were staunch royalists and explicitly supported the crown. So when George returned to England in 1658, he participated in a plot during the interim against the Protector Oliver Cromwell. However, he was caught and then imprisoned until the eve of the restoration of King Charles II, who released him and created him a baronet, Wakeman of Beckford. The first record of his professional activity dates from August 1668, which noted that he attended to and treated Sir Joseph Williamson, an administrator and secretary of the state in the government. In 1670, due to his good reputation as the best Roman Catholic doctor in England, Wakeman was appointed as physician in ordinary to Queen Catherine of Braganza. In the years that followed, he had a comfortable, tranquil life, but in 1678 he got caught up in the web of what came to be known as the Popish plot. The plot unfolded in an odd way. A strange man named Titus Oates, who was a Protestant chaplain, collaborated with a man named Dr. Israel Tong, an educator and rector. Together, the 2 men wrote a long manuscript containing accusations that the Catholic Church was plotting to assassinate King Charles, with the Jesuits perpetrating the heinous crime. The proposal called for the killing of all the principal Protestant leaders, for the king to be shot or stabbed, or for the Queen's physician to poison him, and for installing Charles's heir, his Catholic brother James, Duke of York, on the throne, under the aegis of the Pope. This document designated 100 Jesuits and supporters as being involved. With the document finished, Oates slipped a copy of the manuscript into some wainscoting of a gallery in Sir Richard Barker's house. Tong was to claim he found the document and showed it to an acquaintance, Christopher Kirkby, who was alarmed enough to warn the king. On the 28th of August 1678, Kirkby approached the king on his walk in St. James's Park and told him his life was in danger. Charles was unimpressed with the warning about his personal safety and told Kirkby to recount the tale to his personal staff member, William Chaffage. Charles also asked Thomas Danby, Earl of Osborne, and Lord Treasurer to look into the story. Tong went before Danby and said he found the document, but didn't know the identity of the author. Charles initially denied a request for an investigation, but the Duke of York insisted, and Titus Oates's name was revealed. On September 6th, Oates gave a deposition to the magistrate, Sir Edmund Berry Godfrey, and testified that he had attended a meeting of Jesuits where regicide was discussed. Shortly after this testimony, Sir Edmund was found dead. To this day, his murder has never been solved. By now, the plot had gained a lot of steam. The government considered it serious and launched into further investigations. On November 28, 1678, Oates began to claim that in the previous July he had seen a letter in which it was affirmed by Sir George Wakeman that Queen Catherine had given her consent to murder the king. Oates was now accusing the Queen of high treason. Oates maintained she was well aware of the plot by her physician to poison her husband, even though everyone knew she adored Charles. Oates said he was in the Queen's residence of Somerset House and had overheard a discussion with the Queen in her closet, where the door had conveniently been left open. Oates stated that Wakeman had been offered £10,000 in his presence, but the doctor refused, saying it was too much work for so little money. According to him, the offer was then raised to £15,000, and Wakeman accepted. The doctor was to prepare the poison, and the Queen would administer it to the king. Oates also claimed to have witnessed part of the money being paid to Wakeman at a Jesuit meeting on the 30th of August, 1678. This story was further embellished by Oates, who said Wakeman was promised the additional reward of a post as physician-in-general in the army if the plot succeeded. Initially, the government was extremely reluctant to take any steps against Sir George Wakeman. He was a devoted servant to the Stuart monarchs, and these charges were highly offensive. The diarist John Evelyn knew Wakeman well and said that he was a worthy gentleman and would have abhorred the deed of assassination. He commented that the act of killing the king would have been breaking his Hippocratic oath as well as his oath of loyalty to his monarch. The Whig leaders in the government had been successful in the trials of the Popish plot in early 1679 and wanted to pursue more plotters, recognising that if they could put Wakeman on trial and find him guilty, the Queen would be incriminated. After all, she was Catholic and childless, with no exception of having any heir to the throne. Wakeman was indicted for high treason and put on trial at the Old Bailey on July 18, 1679, with the Lord Chief Justice, William Scroggs, presiding. Along with Wakeman, 3 Benedictine monks, William Marshall, William Rumley, and James Corker, were arraigned. The chief witnesses for the prosecution were Titus Oates and his co-conspirator, a man named William Bedloe. Oates testified he had seen a document appointing Wakeman as physician-in-general for the army, as well as a receipt for £5,000, as the down payment on the £15,000. Oates implied that Queen Catherine knew of Wakeman's plot to poison her husband and put James, Duke of York, on the throne, and wanted revenge on the king for his infidelity. Oates exaggerated even further, adding that King Charles's natural-born son, the Duke of Monmouth, was to be killed. Furthermore, Bedloe swore that he was on intimate terms with Wakeman. Wakeman actively worked and argued his defence. He called witnesses and examined those who gave evidence against him. The preparation of Wakeman's case had been given the highest priority by someone of authority, possibly by King Charles himself. The doctor had access to the records of parliamentary evidence, including the House of Lords Journal, with paperwork regarding the government's investigation into the plot. Someone gave permission for the manuscript to be removed from the house, but who was it? This remains unknown, though it was more than likely either the king or the council. Wakeman managed to totally discredit the prosecution's evidence by establishing that the letter which Oates cited as proving him guilty was in actual fact a prescription written by his assistant and not himself. Moreover, the prescription had no note at the bottom about killing the king. Also, Oates was forced to admit he did not recognise Wakeman's handwriting. Wakeman then pointed out it was absurd for a man of his position to be on intimate terms with a man like Bedloe. Wakeman argued that his family was fiercely loyal to the crown. Not only had he himself been imprisoned during the interim for conspiring to restore the monarchy, but his brother Richard had raised a troop of cavalry for the king and the king's father, Charles I. Lord Chief Justice Scroggs courageously stated his doubts about the truth of Oates's testimony. He commented harshly on the integrity of the evidence presented by the prosecution. The case went to the jury for deliberation. The jury asked the judge if they were allowed to find the prisoners guilty of misprision of treason. Scroggs told them they could not, and the jury found all the defendants not guilty. It is said that King Charles cried with joy at the verdicts. From the very beginning, he knew that the plot was a sham. However, the public didn't feel the same way. The verdict was widely unpopular and greeted with violence by a mob. Jurors had to flee to the safety of their homes, and when the Portuguese ambassador visited Lord Chief Justice Scroggs shortly after the trial, the crowd mistakenly believed he had taken bribes from the Portuguese. For the public, Scroggs was a convenient scapegoat, and an angry mob even threw a dead dog into his coach. Yet, there is no evidence that Scroggs was bribed or was influenced by the king or anyone else. Fortunately for Wakeman, his friends stood by him during the entire ordeal. A few days after the acquittal, Wakeman went to Windsor Castle to greet the king and queen. For his own safety, Wakeman then left England and went to Brussels. The outcome of the trial did not end the popish plot, but it was a turning point and a direct setback in the credibility of the plot's sponsors. After this, only 2 more Catholics were tried, found guilty and executed. Perhaps the most fortunate consequence of the trial was that the Queen was finally freed from suspicion. Oates and Bedloe protested loudly at their treatment during the summation of the trial. During subsequent trials, Oates in particular deliberately ignored the acquittal of Wakeman and continued to testify that bribes had been offered to the doctor and that he had accepted. In 1685, George Wakeman was seen by the diarist John Eveling at Lady Tuke's. Titus Oates had been charged with perjury, and Wakeman returned to London to give evidence against him during his trial on the 8th of May. Probably to his own great satisfaction. Oates was found guilty on 2 counts and was imprisoned. Sir George Wakeman then disappears from the record, and nothing further is known of his career. Yet some accounts claim he died in 1688. Thank you everyone for watching this video on Sir George Wakeman. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave me a like and a comment down below, and if you're new, subscribe. Make sure to have notifications turned on so you can get all my videos as soon as they're uploaded. And if you have any suggestions, please send me an email, or there's a link to my Instagram down in the description, and also you could leave me a comment. Anyway, that's all from me, so I'll see all of you in the next Forgotten Life. Thanks!